On my 28th birthday, my father looked me dead in the eye and said, "I wish you were never born," in front of a whole restaurant. The next morning, I disappeared without a fight. Years later, he tried to pull me back like those 6 words never happened. My family chose an expensive Italian place downtown. My boyfriend wasn't invited. "This is a family dinner, Rebecca. Just family," my dad said. Evan ran a bookstore and wrote poetry. To my dad, that made him nobody. At the table, my parents sat at opposite ends, still married and still cold. My older brother parked himself by dad and kept topping off his bourbon, smiling like he wanted fireworks. My younger sister played peacemaker, pushing small talk like it could patch a cracked foundation. The only person who felt safe was my grandma, her hand squeezing mine under the table. Halfway through dinner, my sister announced she was pregnant. Everyone erupted. My dad stood and raised his glass. "To Rachel," he slurred, "my daughter who actually made something of herself." Then he looked at me. "Unlike some people," he said louder, "working dead-end retail and dating men with no ambition." "Dad," my sister warned. My mom said his name. Sharp. My brother laughed anyway. My dad leaned forward, suddenly clear behind the booze. He started listing my failures, like evidence, a car accident, credit card debt, the college attempt I didn't finish. Each one landed like a brick. Then he decided to finish me. He set his fork down. Then he stared right into my eyes. Next, he lowered his voice so people leaned in. After that, he smiled like he was proud of himself. Then the room went quiet. And then he said it, slow and clean. "I wish you were never born." My mom opened her mouth, then chose silence. My sister froze. Strangers stared like they paid for a show. My dad picked up his fork and kept eating. I stood up. My tear screeched. I grabbed my purse. "Rebecca, wait," my sister pleaded. I walked out past the hostess's pity and the waiter pretending not to hear. I made it to my car and cried until my chest hurt. My phone buzzed nonstop. I turned it off. That night, Evan held me in my tiny apartment. He didn't tell me to be the bigger person. He just stayed. And when I finally stopped shaking, I realized I didn't need closure. I needed distance. The next morning, I packed. I withdrew my savings, $4,200. My dad didn't know existed. I quit my job by email. I sold what I couldn't fit in my car. Everyone called. My dad didn't. My grandma did. And I answered because she'd earned it. "What he said was unforgivable," she whispered. "I know. I put $5,000 in your account," she said. "Don't argue. Go live. Be happy. That's the best revenge." I picked Portland because it was far enough to breathe. I found a small apartment online and showed up with my life stuffed into a sedan. I got a job at a coffee shop within a week. Nobody asked where I went to school. Nobody compared me to my siblings. They just cared if I showed up. I changed my number, deleted social media, started over like a ghost with rent. I stopped performing for my father and started building a life that didn't need his applause. A few years in, the owner offered to sell me the shop. Me, the disappointment. I took the loan, signed the papers with shaking hands, and walked out holding the keys. I framed a photo of the counter and wrote on the back, "For Grandma, happiness is the best revenge." She passed before she could see it in person, but I kept her words anyway. Then my brother emailed. Dad had stage 4 lung cancer. He wanted me at his bedside. I read it 3 times and felt nothing soft. The man who wished I'd never been born didn't get to demand my comfort, so I wrote him a letter. I told him his words broke something basic in me. I told him I rebuilt without him. I told him I forgave him for my peace, not his. And I told him I wasn't coming. He never replied. That silence was his answer. He died 4 months later. I didn't go to the funeral. Last October, my sister came to Portland with her little girl. My niece ran into my shop like she belonged there, petted my cranky orange cat, and called me Aunt Becca on the first try. While she drew at a corner table, my sister looked at me and finally said it. "I used to think you ran away," she whispered. "Now I think you were the brave one." My niece taped her drawing by the register, the 3 of us holding hands. I left it there because my father got one thing wrong. I was worth being born.